Hello and welcome to this video focusing on settings for managers in iService. My name is Andy. I'm one of the national trainers for iService, and I'll be walking you through some simple ways to keep your iService system updated as needed. To access the menu we're going to work on today, we simply hover the cursor over this collapsed menu on the left to pop open the menu, and we're going to be looking at users and system settings. Let's start with the users. If we click into the profiles, we see there are a number of different roles that we can create profiles for your staff. Advisors, this is your service writers. It's important to note that only profiles in this advisors will allow ROs to populate into iService. I mention this because some managers do often write ROs, and if they want to have their ROs populate in iService under their name, they would have to have a service advisor profile also created for them. So managers who write orders will have to have both of these profiles created for them. Parts agents, again, the correct amount of information and access for your parts department. BDC agents, if you are signed up for our BDC management system, BDC agents and BDC managers could be entered here. If you are not subscribing to that management program, you would note there would be no need to make any entries here. The same goes for sales agents. If you are signing up for our robust appraisal management system, we would want to add sales agents here. If we are not signed up for that program, there is no need to add anyone here. I will add that sales managers, part of your subscription to iService is to receive appraisal requests from your service customers. Service customers have a button they can click to ask for an appraisal in their car. Whoever we enter under here under sales managers can receive a text and an email showcasing that request. Technicians are your mechanics. Technician profiles allows them access to the app so they can shoot their videos. It also allows them access to a technician-specific display with the right level of information and access that they require. Looking into service advisors, here we show the existing profiles in the system. If we need to make changes to any of those existing profiles, or if we need to remove those from people who no longer are employed here, we can simply click the edit button and make whatever changes we need to make here, including delete if need be. If we're adding a new staff member, we simply click this add new button. Please note we have noticed that occasionally some remnants of the previous system that this was cloned from may show some residual data that we just want to clear out. So we've got a nice clean slate to start with. Starting with the person's name, it is important to note that the name as entered in the DMS needs to be entered exactly the same way in iService. If this person is entered into the DMS as Andy, then the iService would not recognize Andrew. We would have to change this to match exactly in the DMS, however it's entered. Same goes true for the last name, but I would say experience tells me that very often this is the first name is the piece of data that sometimes doesn't match. People's last names is always their last name. I will note that hyphenated names and that sort of information would again have to be entered in exactly the same way as it is entered into your DMS. Username, right now we're asking for a email formatted username. That will not always be the case, but presently it is. I can simply copy this email into this email field. Passwords, at the time of this video recording, we have a fairly robust password requirement. Minimum 8 characters, must have an upper and lowercase letters, must include a number, and must include a symbol. I'd like to point out that be changing shortly. We will be moving to a very robust password process where a cryptic password will need to be created. The process is simple. The passwords are not. And in the day and age that we live in, it's very important that we protect ourselves from the hacking that's just everywhere out there today. So in this particular case, I'm going to go with something like Patriots stink 2024 exclamation point. And I can look at that. Anybody that lives in New England knows why I chose that password. Phone number. It's important that this is a work number, not a personal number. This number will be given out to your customer service customers through the iService page. They will have a button where they can text their service advisor. They will also have a button where they can call their service advisor. And whatever phone number we enter here will be the one that receives that phone call. Okay. We do have some permissions we can either allow or not allow, whether this person can make changes to fees that are set up in the system, whether or not this person can process a refund. Preparing repair orders is something that's set up for when someone is off for a vacation or for any amount of time for whatever reason. We can click this button and then choose another advisor and click the button for them as well. And those two advisors will now share repair orders so that the person that is working can cover that customers for the person who is not. Our BDC, again, if you're subscribed to our BDC management system, whether or not they have access to that. And DMS ID number, again, the other important piece of information, first name, last name, and DMS ID number that identifies the person for the iService system so that it knows to pull that person's ROs into iService. And finally, whether or not that person is allowed to make a payment. Once I create this profile, it shows I chose poorly in terms of what email I went with. You cannot have duplicate usernames, so that's why I'm getting this error message. I would simply have to choose a different username and enter in the information again. So I won't bother doing that in this video, but you get the idea. And again, you can see with share repair orders, we can choose one or two or even more to share repair orders. Again, it's not recommended except in situations where we know one person's going to be out for a certain amount of time. Manager profiles are very similar. And again, information needs to match exactly as entered into the DMS. Parts agents, again, very simple. What do we allow them to do? And if we need to add them. Sales managers, I think it's important to note that whatever email we use here will be the ones that receive the appraisal request emails, which will include all the information we know about that vehicle, including the video if the technician has recorded it. And additionally, if we put in their cell phone number, they can get a text that says, hey, you've been sent an email, please check your email. Technicians, there is some information in here that would seem to be out of place. Phone number, there's really no reason to put in a phone number. However, the system does require you to enter one in. I recommend you simply use the main service phone number here. This phone number under technician will not be given out to anyone. So we also do have a couple of settings for technicians here where we can allow auto send on their videos. What that means is when the technician shoots the video, it will immediately go to your customer and immediately be entered into the system. When we're training technicians and they're first starting out, we can turn this off so that we can coach and critique their videos before we actually send them to the customer. Switching over now to system settings, which is just below the user settings. We click into here. This is where much of the data that we can enter into iService is entered. And we'll try to run through this briefly as most of this is set up in your initial setup and would only need to be changed as things change over time. General settings, this is your address and company name and that sort of thing. So really, unless you pack up the building and move, there's really no reason to make any changes here. Outgoing messages. This is where we can fine tune the messages that the system sends out automatically. Some of these will be left blank. Perhaps it's because you're not taking part in a particular module. Upgrade is our more robust appraisal management system. So if you are not part of that program, these would be blank. Introduction text message. Again, we can customize this to read it however we want it to read. The message when a video is sent, again, completely customizable. If we ever need to resend a video, we can have that message. When we send an estimate to a customer, this is the message they will receive. This checkbox allows us to send the customer to your, excuse me, your waiver. There it is. I had to look for it. Your waiver. So you could actually have your customers sign their waiver digitally if you choose, and we simply check this box to make that happen. And if we do check that box, this message will be the one going out as opposed to the welcome message. Review text, we actually leave blank at the moment. We've found that there's just at least one or two going out already. The dealership typically has its own review. Car manufacturers typically have another review. So a third review, which we could do, but in general, we do not because of the, just overloading your customer with these review requests. When we send a payment request, this is the message we can send. And if we choose to create a sales video text, we can send that as well. Skipping down to the waivers, just so you can see, this is where we're going to make our initial message to the customer, and we can have it be our legal waiver that we can actually have them signed digitally and can be printed as needed or kept digitally as needed. So going back just a little bit, iService app, this is simply where we set what the access to the technician app is. Again, the initial setup and no need to change it after that. Customer app, this is where we can customize what your customer gets on their page. Appraise my car is one where we can have a button there where they can simply ask for appraisal by pressing the button, and the system automatically sends an email and a text to our sales managers. Same with Finance My Repair. If you use a financial product like Sunbit or some other product, we can add the link in here and your customers can simply click onto it from their iService page. MPI templates, again, this is typically an initial setup. Whatever MPIs your dealership uses, we can build them here exactly as you'd like them to be, and we can customize them however we like. One of the things I like that we can do, I click into this, LOP codes. Ford now requires that we write back to the DMS, and this setting these in here simply makes that happen automatically. A little hard to see, but if we look at this, what we can do is right now we're in brakes, and right now I'm looking at front passenger. We can add in a couple of obvious choices for opcodes to make your technician's life a little easier. If they're in their MPI and they click on that line, they'll be presented a couple of obvious choices for what to add for that issue. Opcodes, we can pull directly from your DMS. Sometimes we do need to set that things that are price fixed for those items that you menu price. We do have to manually check those boxes here so that those prices are locked in. Very simple. Click it, save it, done. All of our opcodes have a number of different customizable situations. We can fix labor, we can fix parts, we can assign it to a particular pay type, we can assign it to a particular service lane if you're using our scheduler. We can define whether it's taxable or whether it gets charged supplies. I think those dealerships that do state inspections would want to have a state inspection that didn't charge supplies. We can link them to a recall opcode, and we can assign certain charges or discounts as required. In this particular case, we're going to do a tire disposal fee. Um, that would be for a mountain balance tire typically. Create a quote. This is where we have our financial information that we can add in here. We're going to set a default labor rate. Even if you use a matrix, we do want to add in a default labor rate just in case a particular job falls outside of the matrix. And we originally would only be able to do one matrix, right? We would simply enter that here. We now can do multiple matrices. So as we add this in, we can come down to our pay types and we can decide whether or not they use a matrix. And we can decide which matrix they use. If we need to, we can simply copy the one that we created for the main one. Or if needed, say in a diesel situation or maybe in a warranty situation, we can create a different labor matrix altogether. So we can now do multiple matrices. Moving on, additional quote compliance. If your state requires that you allow customers to see itemized parts pricing and itemized labor pricing, we can check this box and that will display for your service customers. A technician right now, presently only working with Lightyear. If we want to record those hours back into Lightyear for iService, we can allow that here. You're taxing whatever your state requires, or county or city requires, labor, parts, and miscellaneous supplies, etc., whether they're taxable or not, and at what rate. If we are using parts matrices, we can set those up. We do set those up for you. Those are not something we can that we've found is convenient to be allowed at the dealership level. But if we're going to use them, we just have to check this box. Supplies, how they're applied, what percentage, are they taxable, minimum, maximum, all set here. Transaction fees, set here, can be set up as a percentage or a flat rate, whatever that amount is, minimum, maximum. And if there is a difference for cash pricing, we can show that too. Where we apply those fees are set here. Pay types. When we do the initial setup, we will set up most of this for you, but this is where we can set and define all those labor types. This is where if those numbers change, of course they always do over time, you can simply come in here and adjust those dollar amounts to what they need to be. Discounts and charges. This is where we can create as many specific discounts or charges as we like. These can be applied directly to opcodes. They can be applied directly to RO totals, or they can simply be added manually as needed by your service writers. Payments. This is where we set up if you are part of our global pay process. We can set these things up here. Again, not something you would typically have to deal with after the initial setup. Coupons is where we can add in a image, store it on your computer that shows what specials you might be running or what specials might be coming up. I know most service managers don't like to use this for coupons. Coupons are for getting customers in the door. This customer is already in the door. I have seen this used to great effect for whatever causes might be important to you in your dealership. You could put in an image here of something, Habitat for Humanity, MSPCA, whatever it is, a cause that you're particularly fond of. We can put that image in here and show that to your service customers. Service phases. This is where we can customize and build service phases that will display on the iService dashboard. We can name these whatever we want them to be. We can make them whatever color we want them to be. We can reorganize them as we like. And one interesting thing we can do is we can set each service phase to send a notification to your service customer if we want. Simply check this button, click in here, and say whatever we want to say. Save it. Very easy to use. I'm going to skip over BDC phases. They work basically the same way, but for your BDC management team. BDC Quick SMS, this is where we can build text messages within the system so that rather than typing them out every time, you can just simply click, and send it off. Reconditioning phases, again, if you're part of the reconditioning management system, you would have certain phases for that as well. And again, rewards, scheduler are only for those customers that are part of those programs. Scheduler services, I'm going to skip over. It's not super complicated. Again, when we set these up initially for you, there's rarely any reason to change them from that point on. Contact limit control. If you're part of a number of our different programs, we do want to make sure that we were within state regulations in terms of how often we can reach out to your customers. So we would control that here. Tools is something coming more and more, but right now the only thing in tools is where we can undelete an order if we accidentally deleted it. That wraps up about as quick as I can manage to go through as many details as I could for you in this video. Thank you for your time. And I appreciate spending the time to finish up with me. And, hopefully we can get this all going for you. And thank you again.